It's green for go. They're racing.
He says go.
He says ta-da.
And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn.
Here comes another big boil over.
Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more.
This is in one race. The rest are almost in another post.
She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that?
It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Sprint Lane Live Show. Paul Cochran with you, Jess Watkins, Freddie Hastings. G'day, guys.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Fred.
Jess, Paul, good to be back.
That opener, it's all about the highlights of racing, and this weekend a whole new chapter takes place in a whole new area, which is just harness racing heartland, Bathurst, and that's what we're going to pour some time into today.
Yeah, it really is harness racing heartland. You've got some of the biggest names in the sport. Of course, the Turnbulls and Hewitts spring to mind, and the juveniles really come to the fore, and I can't wait for this Saturday night.
Speaking of juveniles, there's a little birdie told me that a juvenile was acquired by one Jay Watkins over the weekend at the sales. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yes, I bought another one and got sucked in again. No, he's a nice little colt. He's a half-brother to Timmy Richter. So no surprise in who I'll be cheering for this Saturday night in the final.
They had a good sale, you know, Paul. I was talking to Danny Dwyer yesterday, and I believe the clearance rate was around the 70% mark, which is pretty good. The top lot was just under 50 large. I think the average, Danny said, was about 12 or thereabouts. And a terrific sale all in all. So well done to all involved, and especially to you, Jess. You're part of that. You're part of that average clearance.
That's it.
Is this what you were playing on the drive home?
When I grow up, I want a pose. I'm gonna ride from dust.
Well, that's my fourth one now, so I don't know if it was a pony or multiple, but
We'll be cheering the fact that you don't have to wait as long for a win with this youngster.
Let's keep the fingers
Casey
crossed.
Chambers on the Spotify coming home.
Very
When I
good.
grew up, I want a pony. Hey, it's been a real good week. Last Tuesday when we were here, we wished Colin Watts a happy birthday. I'm really fortunate I got to spend some time with the great man in the stables. We did a little bit of content for Harness Racing New South Wales social media. What a gentleman. And, you know, and look, his mobility is not what he'd like it to be, but he carries on. And he sort of had the walking assist frame. His sons were there. The love and energy and the respect around the stables. I went round to a few of the guys and said, Colin Watts is there. And they said, what, young Colin? And I said, because his son's obviously named Colin as well, our racing chaplain. And old Colin, the great man. Oh, really? And you could see even the young guys sort of pep up. You know, Jared Alchin's, Cameron Hart, I mentioned it too, and Will Rickson, obviously. I said, Will, and he goes, I know Colin. He said, yeah, I'm going to go over and say hello to him. And I said, well, you and your dad, your granddad would have had a bit to do with each other, obviously. And he's like, yep. He said they had a lot to do with each other. And he said he was great. And he said, I remember talking to him at granddad's funeral. And that's how he went over and spent some time with him. So, yeah, the respect even among, you know, it's not even next generation, it's generations on since Colin Watts. Right, they know their harness racing history. They were respectful, went over and gave him some time to celebrate his 96th birthday. Great effort.
Yeah, it was a great day for Colin. It was great to see him here. And Colin Bromack fought on gamely to run second. So a great day out for him. But great to see him back at the track and celebrating a special occasion.
Truly wonderful man, Jess. And I thought, gee, come on. I was cheering for Colin Bromack with about 150 to go. But he ran second, ran a nice race for Colin. But, you know, one thing you touched on there, Paul, is the acknowledgement of the history within our sport. Yeah. Generational, you know, to generation. And I think that's one thing we do really well in our sport. We pay tribute to our former greats through races that are run here, not just the horses, such as, you know, Hyundai Grattan, Parfait Sadios, Sibelia, all those, Robin Dundee, where we have races named after those great horses. We also acknowledge the great drivers and trainers of yesteryear, and Colin certainly
and
fits
administrator too. You know, spent a lot of time.
Well, he did. He was
admin arm of the business. Yeah. I said to him, and we won't go on about it too much, but I said to him, how do you think you go out here on the track? And he's, he was very much, I'm a Harold Park man, but he said, I said these young guys, got some serious talent. He was certainly a little bit in awe of the current crop of amazing talent that we've got. Made special mention of Luke McCarthy. He certainly admired how Luke goes about his work. He thought Anthony Butt was someone with serious skill in our game. So, but one thing he said, and it was very obvious in the chat with him, was he watches all our product. Racing's on, he's got it on, he's still absorbing it, still loves it for the pure nature of the sport. Fantastic. And the purity of it, which we love. And and that's one thing that we've said a lot of. Obviously we're a sport which has got a wagering arm aligned to it, but it's still a sport that people can absorb and really take in, Jess.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. I think from no matter how young you are to how old you are, you can still be enjoying harness racing. And Colin's a testament to that. He's been involved his entire life, and he still thrives on the harness racing product that we have today.
Well, speaking of something that we were wrapped in, we didn't have a bet in, we didn't have an investment in, we just stood around and watched Luck and Vire Art go around at Yonkers. It was cool, wasn't it? Like we were standing there watching a horse that we've sort of seen up close and personal enough, and Freddie, you've called
him, Chariots winner,
Lockie. So just fantastic to stand around and watch something, literally 10
on the other side of the world.
10, 20 minutes ago before we went on air.
Yeah.
And just for those who will have not yet caught up, Lock and Varard, Artie as he's known affectionately, he won a race which is a heat of what they call the Borgata series, and probably the fairest way to describe it from what I can understand, it's a little bit like the Inter Dominion, only it's run over 5 consecutive weeks of heats, culminating in the top point scorers earning a spot in an 8-horse final. The final's worth $600,000 US, and certainly Lock and Varard off to a flyer in that series for the Tritons.
Yeah, no, it was cool, and to be able to, that's technology and everything, to be able to us to stand here and tune that in on your iPad, Fred. It was really cool. Hey, we've had a big week, and we've got an even bigger week ahead. Let's get into it, All right, we had the Go Girlfriend final here at Menangle Saturday night, Jess. That Grimson Hart combination is just lethal.
Absolutely, they are.
Won it with Joe and Joe. And then we saw About Time come out and put up a serious time to open that car, 149.3, and then it ended with one of our favourites on this show, Tay Tay, 150.3. So, great night of racing all round, but for that Grimson Hart combination, really delivered. Yeah,
fantastic night at the office for Cam and Jason, and About Time was ultra impressive, going 149.3. What a way to open
serious
the card
horse,
that night. Absolutely, I think he can go into much bigger targets as he comes up with them. But Joe and Joe as well, the way she was able to win that Go Girlfriend series, she was forced to sit without cover, and it really didn't faze her at all. She just kept powering to the line and kept spacing her rivals. And then, of course, Tay Tay, we love her. We're a fan favourite of her, aren't we? And she shook off rivals with ease.
Well, Tay Tay, we talk about the carousel. The first 4 place getters often bring it up. First 4 place getters in last year's carousel, they all went around here on Saturday, and of those, Tay Tay was a victor. Heaven on High ran second, and Unfazed ran fourth in his race, and Port-au-Prince fifth. So the top 4 place getters in last year's carousel.
You keep saying that carousel form stands up.
It's held up. Look at Tay Tay. Like Tay Tay just on her own has just been an amazing mare.
Well, you just mentioned Heaven on High. Ran second in the 4th heat of the Autumn Gift. So we had I'm Bruce Almighty for Scotty Hewitt, Blazing Banner for Brad Hewitt, and Double Act for David Morris, all won heats of that Autumn Gift. Your horse, Freddie, just a quick reflection, running second in that.
Ran second to Double Act. If you look at the week before when Heaven on High beat Double Act, the barriers were more or less reversed, and Heaven on High from barrier 1 was too good. This time round, Double Act drew 3, made a huge difference. Our horse was out in 9, and he's not a death seat horse. Spoke to David Thorne and Blake Fitzpatrick, and they just said, look, he's not a death seat horse, but it's just where he had to be from the draw rather than go back. He's come up with a nice draw in the final on Friday night. He draws, I think it was 4. He'll come out of 3 if the emergency doesn't gain a start, and that's going to be a lot better. It's more his go. You'll see, Heaven on High acquit himself well, but not only those 3 that you mentioned, but Lochiel and Will Rickson, that was a nice. So he's not a bad little. He's a bit underestimated, Lochiel, at times, I think, and he hit the line really good.
A superb drive from Will there as well. I think he was 5 fence at one point down the back and managed to get off just at the right time and came with 1 run at them, and it proved the winning move.
I spoke to Will on Sunday on radio, and he actually said he was a bit concerned he may have, gone the wrong way when he went back inside, but he got to the outside and the horse did the rest. And tell you what, we talk about it nearly every week, Paul, but geez, Will's driving in good heart at the moment. And he's number 3. He's third on the state premiership for drivers at the moment.
Yeah, could be his year. You know, we sometimes that, you know, whether it's horses or athletes in other sports, that breakthrough moment comes and then we just see him surge. Will Rixon's got that. It feels like there's a little bit of that about Will.
He's getting more, and he acknowledged this on Sunday on radio. He said he's getting more Saturday drives, but better, not just more, but better quality Saturday drives. And that's it's all the drivers. They all look for those better drives, and in particular at the better meetings. And Will's just starting to come into his own. We talked about Seaton Grimer last week being an improver and how his patience has started to shine through. Will is another who's just. That maturity is really clicking in for him now.
And with that comes confidence too.
Yes.
And when your confidence is up, you can make clear decisions.
Yep.
You know, and back your decisions and be authoritative on the track. And I think that makes a huge difference for drivers. How you go with your French, Freddie?
Not real good. I flunked French, and that's easy for you to say. Don't make me say it 3 times quickly.
Say that twice backwards.
Yeah.
2 horses with Paris in their names. I got results on Saturday night.
What is it? Je m'appelle, my name is?
Oui.
Yeah.
Sweet Paris
Really?
and Paris Cave. I don't know a great deal of French.
Yes.
I know
Yes.
Oui, yes,
Oui,
oui.
yes.
Pepe Le Pew, Yannick Noah. I don't know a great deal.
There's another tennis player. I won't say his name.
Henri Leconte. Is that
the
where
one.
you were going to go? Yeah. Don't say that twice backwards
I
either,
will-
Fred. This is a family show.
Just make a note there on Sweet Paris's win last Tuesday. It was actually Tony Birtwhistle's 100th career
Yeah,
training
it
win
was
as well.
too.
So a special milestone for him. And I know him and his partner Alison were out there on track and they were very happy.
Very happy.
Well, you mentioned Will Rixon, Freddie. So one of those Parises did get driven by Will. He got a double. So he had a meeting double there at Menangle Saturday night. Cam got a double too, Cam Hart, which we sort of take almost for granted these days. Penrith Thursday night, you had Will, you had Cam, and you had Robbie Morris all getting doubles there on Thursday night. So good fantasy points. Went begging because Penrith wasn't
Not for
even in
me.
the game.
Oh, yeah,
It
they
wasn't
were
in the
too. It
game.
wasn't in the game.
Yeah.
Yes. So
We've got to
I've
expand next year.
had
Come on,
messages from
Commissioner.
people. I had Maddie Young in my team too, and she picked up
Got a winner
a
as
win
well
and-
for Matty Roo's
yeah,
stable.
for nothing.
Regal
So-
Reggae she won on,
Yeah, shout out to Maddie for coming to town and picking up a winner there. Jackson Painting double at Leeton on Tuesday night. Blake Jones and Tommy Gilligan. Tommy Gilligan, I know one's your ruin because you took him out of your team.
Yeah, I've had him in my
Fred.
team for weeks, and I pulled him out this week or last week, and well done to Tom.
Yeah, both got doubles at Wagga
Yeah.
on Friday. Hey, what about the Isons? So I had Tamworth on Thursday. Yeah, had, I don't know, would have been 8 races on the card or something like that. So Tommy won. Andrew trained 2 of them. It was just an Ison filler.
An ice-on-a-thon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would have been a very happy household on Thursday.
I know, we kind of, I know that we throw away this line a bit, Tommy's the mayor of Tamworth and they do so well there, but gee, it stands up and, you don't, there's a lot of work goes into that. You don't just turn up and take it for granted that you win races. So well done. Like that whole family stable is, that's a serious performance.
Yep, absolutely, and they really shared it around. It was a 9-race card, and plenty of winners all round for the Isons. And Tom, he's driving well. But I tell you what, I think with more opportunities, Molly's got a really good head. And I think she'll she judges races, reads races, and I think you'll see Molly with experience be on footing with Tom and Sam.
Well, you wouldn't think there's much else to go around there with the Isons filling up, but Gemma Coney did actually. She actually managed to drive 2 winners. I spoke to Gemma now the day before. She was coming home from a holiday over in Bali for a birthday, so she'd been there. She was on a plane. I had to ring her because one thing that is out and about in the press a little bit at the moment is Gemma Coney and Amanda Turnbull will represent us, New South Wales, at the Australian Female Drivers' Championship. So testament to what a great year they've had. And, we know Amanda's record's fantastic, but well done, Gemma.
Great opportunity.
Absolutely.
Great things up there in the Hunter. And, so to give her a call to sort of get a few elements together for the publicity side of things. And she was on her way back and and straight away the next day up at Tamworth and driving a double. So, yeah, well done. We just mentioned Tommy Ison, a winner at Newcastle on Friday as well. Double at Newcastle for Blake Hughes, who had a really, really good week for Blake Hughes. And Tommy Callaghan, his first winner of the year. You know, his brother Jack gets a lot of kudos around these parts. So, well done, Tommy. I think that's his 4th career winner. So, yeah, well done. Good family.
Well done, Tom. He's in my fantasy league, so that would have been some nice points there too.
Good family. Well, as we said, guys, there's been so much racing going on, but really a lot of the eyeballs have been on Bathurst, and for good reason. We had heats on, what was it, Monday, we have Wednesday, Friday, and then Monday. Yeah, so much racing. Well done to the club on being able to deliver those race meetings back to back like that. That's a big output.
Throw in the sale on Sunday.
And they had the Gold Crown Ball on Saturday night as well. So it has been full on for them.
Yeah. As you said, Freddie, the clearance rate at the sales was good, but what was the atmosphere like there, Jess?
The atmosphere was fantastic. It was my first ever Gold Crown sale. I hadn't been before, but there was a lot of members from the local Bathurst community out and enjoying the atmosphere, and a great social occasion, of course, like any sales are, but it definitely had a great feel to it being out there at Bathurst.
All right, let's get into the racing side of things there. So, obviously, I'm really super excited about this race meeting on Saturday night, Fred. You're going to be there calling it for the coverage. The Gold Crown is one of those races that people sort of pursue when they've got yearlings and say, that's a race I want to win. I've got a yearling with a little bit of ability. I'm going to pay them up and have them ready. Now it's time for that, I guess, that investment.
The fruition, yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I know the Golden Slipper in the thoroughbred world was run on Saturday last. This is kind of our Golden Slipper, when you get these horses only fairly young into the season and they're racing for the prestige of a race that has really stood up since its inception back in the late 80s. This is a terrific race, I think. I've got a few, in terms of the barrier draw, hasn't been kind to some of the horses that I've earmarked early on, but it's just an exciting night. As you say, Paul, the fruition of dreams. Jess bought a horse on Sunday, and I know leading into the Gold Crown, you're going to be equally as excited and hopeful and anticipating a great result. And let's face it, out of all the horses that went through the sales and all the horses that raced in the heats, we're down to the top 12, including emergencies. It's not a big dance floor, is it really? When you consider how many horses start out with hopes, gets down to 12, 10 will face the starter. But good luck to those that have made it.
We saw the barrier draw take place last night for the Gold Crown and the Gold Tiara. What's your reflections on that, Jess?
Yeah, I think it definitely opened things up a lot in both of them. I know Rickie Alchin's too, which we've seen perform quite well here at Menangle, taking out classic races. The draw hasn't been kind to them at all, but I think it's definitely opened up for a few of the regional chances.
I spoke to Rick yesterday and he just said, yep, I've got a couple of good ones there, but the draw is going to be crucial, and I think you're right. It's funny, we're standing in the studio and the memoirs of the Breeders' Challenge Series barrier draw are still sitting not far from us, and I still have this vivid memory of Ricky standing at the door and he got dudded on that barrier draw as well, and just seeing him go, oh no. It was almost like he knew what was coming.
But he's got horses good, and I know, it's easy for me to say. His two horses that are in each of they're good enough to overcome these draws.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're going to
no doubt.
A barrier draw is only where you start from.
We're going to have Ricky on the line shortly. We'll get his reflections on it. There was some good racing yesterday, Fred. Hey, the big stoush was Windy Hill Tara taking down Major Delight.
Well, I guess Major Delight was going to be vulnerable first up for several months. But then I start to wonder, and I wondered yesterday whether there's been a little underestimation of the ability of Windy Hill Tara. Was very, very good in the Oaks, has really matured into a terrific race filly, and obviously you'll see a better Major Delight on Saturday in the bracelet final. But gee, Windy Hill Tara doing everything right.
I couldn't believe the price that Windy Hill Tara did go around at, given the fact that she just won the Oaks last start.
Be the
Yeah, she
weight of
went
money
around
for
at
Major.
$5.50.
Yeah.
Major Delight was $1.10, but
Yeah.
you managed to find Windy Hill Tara. Well done.
You know, I said I spoke to Gemma Coney the other day for the Australian Female Drivers Championships. I spoke to Amanda Turnbull as well, and I said to Amanda, right, one of the questions that the organisers wanted was, what's your biggest win? And Amanda actually nominated Windy Hill Tara in the Oaks.
Wow.
You know, for such a decorated career, it's this recent. And, you know, in some ways, you could put it down to a bit of recency bias, maybe, but it shows what that meant to her and how much she believes in Windy Hill Tara. But also
she had a little flourish of the whip too.
That's
Now, you
right.
don't see Amanda get too animated.
Yeah.
And that illustrates just what that win meant, her driving for Stu, just a moment. And, you know, that just shows, I'm not surprised she said that, just given her reaction, because you just don't see Amanda show that kind of emotion.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, the fields are elite.
Yes.
Absolute elite. What a treat for the crew there at Bathurst to be able to have our big guns there in town. Obviously, we've got some of the Victorians who do so well there. But I tell you what, one man who is going to be there, defending champion of the Gold Crown. G'day, Rickie Alchin.
How are you, Paul? Jess
Good.
and Fred?
G'day,
Hey,
Rick.
Ricky.
Mate, how excited are you? You had such a good carnival last year there in Bathurst, but to be going back with two elite chances again must be super exciting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the whole build-up for these big races is good, but I think, you know, the biggest thing is actually qualifying for the finals. So once you get the heats out of the way and you actually do get them into the finals, well, then, you know, it's actually sort of a relief. But then you got the pressure of the final 10 days to have them cherry ripe.
The barrier draw was not kind to you last night, mate.
No, it wasn't, but rarely is it. I mean, it's just fortunate. It's just the luck of the draw, sorry. But, yeah, I mean, no, I would have preferred front line draws with both of them, but like I think somebody did say earlier, they are good enough to overcome it. It's just going to be a matter of, you know, where they land and what the tempo is and where the other chances are.
Last year you won with the gold bracelet with Soho Rhapsody, and then you also won the gold crown with Tardelli. Interestingly enough, both those clients of yours, the Lespina family and also Robert Watson, own both of the horses that you've got in the finals this year. That must be a really proud moment for you.
Yeah, it is. You know, I can't thank them enough for trusting me with their horses, and they do have well-bred horses. They go to the better stallions. They've got good brood mares, and you know, it's not the be-all, end-all, but it does help. You know, get quality horses in your barn when you've got clients like that sending them to you and trusting you with them.
With regard to Soho Spectre, Rick, you know, from the draw, do you have a preconceived plan on when and where you might make a move, or will you just let the marbles unfold in the first 200, 300, 400 metres and sum it up then? And is the horse genuinely good enough to do a lot of work in his races and then finish them off?
Look, Fred, I think he's a quality horse. I've said to people, you know, have asked me about these two horses, and just with babies, like sometimes you get natural 2-year-olds that, you know, they come out all guns blazing and they win their early races just on manners and good gated, and then other horses sort of catch up to them. But I do believe these two horses, and both of them, one's a filly, obviously, one's a colt, but you know, he's a genuine sort of derby horse. Like we had Muscle Factory and horses like that come through the stable, and this horse does match it up with them. So, you know, I think having Timmy Richter drawn inside the second line is, you know, probably a good thing for us. If it had drawn the front and got a bit of a head start on us, it probably would have made it a little bit more interesting. Although it's not a 2-horse race, I do feel he is my biggest danger.
How do you reflect on last year, mate? I still have this vivid memory of you, and I think it was on Soho Rhapsody, just the big joy on your face as you realised you won. I mean, I know you didn't see it as a turn-up, but the punters certainly did saw it as a turn-up for the books, given the price that Soho went around at. Thinking back on that carnival 12 months ago, and then a reflection on what this carnival means, the Bathurst Gold Crown.
Yeah, I mean, last year, the stars aligned that night, but I think even with Soho Rhapsody in the heats on the Monday, she, from memory, ran second to Just Hope, but the sectionals were by far the quickest out of any of the heats. So, we knew we had her, as good as we could get her, and, she lobbed well in the run and the speed was on, and yeah, she's got a really good turn of foot. And she's always been underrated. And, don't be surprised if she does win another nice mares race in coming seasons, because she's a quality filly. But then Tardelli will, I think it's a relief when you do have a horse that you like in your stable, and they actually do come out and, and prove to you that they are good. And that's what that horse done, and he done it for the whole season. So, yeah, it was a great Bathurst Carnival, and we're looking forward to doing it again.
We mentioned the Laspina family and Alf Laspina. Great clients. They've been clients of yours for a long, long time. And as Jess mentioned, you're also training for Robert Watson with Soho Spectre. But in terms of the Laspina connection, it goes back a fair way, Rick.
Yeah, it does. And, they've been so good to me. It's probably we're in our fifth or sixth year now.
Right.
Training for Alf and Rosario, and you would not get more passionate owners. They're not just in it for the money; they're in it for the love of racing and the love of the horse. And their big thing is young horses. They love being in the young juvenile races, and they want the best. And I think the key to it is move there. And Alf actually said to me when I first started training for him, he said, "We want nice horses. We don't want average horses." And I've kept that, as the memory, and I try and move the ones on that aren't quite good enough, or when we think they hit their mark. We have been lucky enough to have some nice horses for them.
This Bathurst Carnival, mate, just feels like it's a real destination event now. I think Danny told us last week we're in about our 37th year of the Bathurst Gold Crown. It feels like it's just getting better and better, but the quality is incredible. But we see everyone seemingly putting it in the diary at a pretty early stage because it holds such value and prestige to anyone in the industry, really.
Yeah, it's been a great carnival for a long time, and hats off to the Bathurst Club. They do it right. Like they have a ball, they have a Calcutta. Menangle has a Miracle Mile without a Calcutta. I think they do try, and I think it shows. That the support they get. I've seen something on Facebook today. There's been a front yard in Bathurst has been decked out with the gold crown. There's a couple of little statues with colours and rugs on. Like the whole community seems to get behind it, and it's great for racing, and it's good to be on show.
One thing I noticed last year, I think from memory, there was an issue. I think there was a clash of football. The NRL was being played up at Bathurst at the same time. Yeah. That's not happening this time round. And maybe for the first time, Rick, we're probably right away from the spectre, pardon the pun with your horse, the spectre of COVID. It's really enabled. I know a lot of people have travelled from interstate just to be spectators at the carnival and be part of it that way. Do you think that's sort of another reason why this year seems to be a lot more chit-chat locally about the crown?
Yeah, probably, Fred. The restrictions opened up, but also going back pre-COVID, like I remember, my pop, he would go to Bathurst Carnival every year. Him, Billy Trembar, John O'Sullivan. There was always just a big crew of people. I know David Kennedy and Laurie Kennedy, who sadly passed away. That was David's father. They used to go every year. They'd take their caravans and, they'd take their horses. Even if their horses weren't good enough, they'd go for the week and make the most of it. And I think, now that we're out of COVID, it goes back, starting to get back to that. Like I know the Newcastle trainers and that, they go down or come down to Bathurst and they make a week of it, and I think that's what it's all about, and that's the whole build-up with the carnival.
Well, mate, you won it last year. I know that you're telling us you're going to win it again this year, but enjoy it while it lasts, because Jess bought a horse on the weekend.
I don't think I'd said I would win it this year. I never get that confident, but I know I've got two nice horses.
What I am saying is Beware.
Jess wants to win it next year.
Jay Watkins has been in market. She's bought a horse, and your time is coming to an end, Alchin.
One thing that is for sure: if you don't buy one, you won't win it.
That's
You will
a
not
good
win.
point. Good point. Very good.
Maybe you two should collude. Eh? He's got a proven formula. You've got the horse.
Jess should stand it here, and I'll train it for her. I've been trying to get her other horse for
He's
years
been
now.
trying. Don't
You
get
just
him
won't give it
started
to-
on this.
Probably M. Watkins has got something to say about that.
Yes.
Oh, Mick wouldn't mind. He doesn't like work that much anyway.
So, did you get involved in the sales, mate? I know that you were in a state last weekend. Obviously, we had sales here at in Sydney. Sales in Bathurst. Did you get involved?
Yeah, look, we've ended up with a few nice horses from the sales so far. I think we ended up with 9 from Sydney sales. I sold one that I bred at the Gold Coast sale last weekend. We'll probably be active again at the Melbourne sale. It's a thing that I do believe that if you don't have that fresh crop of young ones coming through each year, you sort of get left behind because not every year you're going to have a good year.
You've got a good eye, Rick, for horse flesh, and we know you're well renowned as being a good master educator. And I know lately, Ricky Hunter's been doing a lot of that work for you as well. But I mean, when you're at the sales, are you just looking at horses based on their conformation, their appearance, obviously their breeding? But is it just is it a horse that catches your eye that you sort of say, I want to know more about this horse, or is it more the breeding and the lines?
Yeah, look, I am big on the breeding and the lines, Fred. Also, I think luck has a lot to do with it. I mean, you can buy the best bred horse and the best type at the
But that's
sale.
where your eye comes in, Rick, isn't it?
It does, Fred. I mean, early days when I used to do the run-up sale, I think, and it's probably, what got me a little bit ahead financially, was to probably buy a good type of a horse, break it in, and get it up and going and sell it, move it on. I did have a fair bit of luck early days doing that, just by trying to pick a good type. But yeah, also now, we've got, like we said, the Lespinas and Robert Watson, and not only them, we've got a really good crew of owners, a guy in Perth called Peter Hayes. They breed to the better horses, and they've got good mares, and I do think that helps.
Yeah. Well, mate, we wish you every ounce of luck this weekend. We'll be live on air with the trackside coverage. Freddie will be calling, and I'll be there anchoring the coverage for Sky Racing Active. Really hope that we get a chance to talk to you after more Group 1 success, mate.
Yeah, look, it's just nice to be part of these races. That's what we want to be part of. So there's plenty of other people that are in it as well, and wish everyone the best of luck and safe racing, and hopefully we can have a bit of luck. And
mate, we've had your brother on the show, and he's talked about how good he's going. It'd be nice to get one up on him too, wouldn't it, on Jared?
Yeah, Jared does a great job as well, but he hasn't got anything there this year. They don't usually target Bathurst, whereas I do, so I'm sure his babies will start to step out soon.
Set him up for a nice little drive-by there, and he refused to fire a bullet at his brother. he refused to buy in, guys.
They're a very close family, Paul. A very close family.
I would have thought there was the great opportunity for Ricky there to have a little.
He's not that kind of guy.
No. Well, mate, good luck. Thanks for giving up your time, and we'll see you out the track this afternoon.
No worries, thank you.
Good on you, mate.
Good luck, Ricky.
All right. He's got a good crop, hasn't he? Like I'd like to be going into a race night like what we're going to have this Saturday night with Soho Spectre and Lux Turner.
And doesn't he what? And even just the past month here at Menangle, we've seen Lux Turner take out the pink bonnet, Soho Spectre. He's just had a phenomenal month, and hopefully that can continue this Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, if you, Fred, could say, I want a horse in each of the Group 1s, and you had the chance to take Lux Turner and Soho Spectre, some sort of Kolkata.
Look, on what I've seen,
I think you'd be happy if you had those two going.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the draws aren't kind. I think, as Rick alluded there, with Soho Spectre's race, with Timmy Richter drawn same line, it makes his task probably a little easier, because where he's positioned on the outside there, he's going to be able to make a move when he wants. Whereas, Timmy's going to need a little bit of luck here and there to get runs. He's got to try and hold leaders back. If the one can hold, and then hope nothing comes around and bury him, or he's got to get off early. So I'm happy to. If I was picking two horses, I'd be sticking Lux Eterna from the Latin, meaning eternal light, and Soho Spectre in the boys. I like them.
Yeah, in the boys for me, I have to stick with Timmy Richter there. I was really impressed with his heat win, and I think he's got the class.
But he'll need luck, do you think?
Yeah, definitely from that draw, being inside of the second row. He definitely still needs luck, but I thought he was very classy in that heat win.
Well, the good thing is we're going to see it play out right in front of us, Fred, because we're going to be very fortunate to have front row seats.
Best seats in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. So, best thing you saw this week, Jess?
Best thing I saw was last night there was a social media post being shared around from Casey Williams at Bathurst, and yesterday at the Trots it was the All Abilities race day, and quite a few of our leading participants, Nathan Turnbull, David Moran, Cam Hart, Phoebe Betch, just to name a few, they headed out and met a few of their clients, and the smiles on their faces in that photos, you could tell it just meant the world to them and made them very happy. So well done to all involved. Just another reason of why we've got the best participants of any sporting code in the world.
Fantastic. Freddie?
Similar theme in some respects, just the joy and elation. On Saturday we had the Go Girlfriend final, and Sarah Rushbrook, who trains two horses at the moment, had a horse drawn in the final, a mare drawn in the final, Adrenaline Rush. Third on the home turn, dropped out, was beaten a fair way, but I spoke to Sarah before the race, and the jubilation that she'd made the final and the excitement, having her, I think she said it was her third drive ever on the Menangle track, and just the excitement, and she was so ebullient and happy to be here. And it just makes you realise not everyone is going to have a horse that can run 150. Not everyone's going to have a Group 1 winner, but for those that make the sport tick, and that's the trainers that have got small stables, and you see them come here to the Big Smoke and be part of it, that was probably the best thing I saw for me.
Which it's just those stories are what happens off the track. You know, that it's the add-on to what we see on the racing product. It's sort of Sky Racing, you know, or if you hear seeing it's the story behind the story, I think.
Everyone's got a story. Everyone has a story. And I know you uncover a lot of them through what you do, and you with your social media stuff, Jess. It's everyone that is here today has a story.
Yeah.
And last week you unearthed a little bit of the Colin Watt story, and so it goes. But to hear Sarah's story and that would be replicated across the board with so many of the participants that were here on Saturday last and at any racetrack.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's important, you know, if someone gets their first winner or you know, what that means to someone.
Celebrate those achievements.
You know, I think most of our participants, the joy of winning doesn't ever disappear, but it's human nature that it, I guess, dilutes somewhat. It can be a little bit passé. If you're getting, you know, I'm sure Steve Turnbull's 4,000 winners, at some point, some mean more than others eventually, you know what I mean? So whereas the people who are not enjoying those spoils so regularly, it must be just such a massive, like, sort of endorphin in their life.
Funnily enough, you said that about Steve, and I'm not sort of, you know, saying that this is the case with Steve, but you often find what you just said there, sometimes the counter to that is, and you hear, for example, footballers or tennis players, they win their first major or they win their first grand final, and you know, but the second one or the third one means more to them because they appreciate how hard they are to get.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, you know, notching up your first win special and you'll never forget it. Notching up your 100th is special. Notching up your 337th is equally as special because you realise after all those wins, even though you might be the top of your tree and you might have a big stable, you still got to win them.
Yeah.
So you know, I think it's so important that we celebrate all the milestones and all the happy moments because in racing, unfortunately, as we all know, they're not always happy endings.
Exactly.
Right.
Hey, speaking of Steve Turnbull, what about the sensationally named Mr. 4000?
Fantastic, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. I think there would be a big eruption of the crowd in cheers if he was to salute on Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a fantastic, like, for me, like having been there with Steve and we put a camera on him when we thought he was going to get the 4,000 that night, and then being there to give, you know, for the presentation to him and that, like to see that journey come along. Yeah, it's really, really cool. All right, so this week, guys, as we said, Bathurst is a huge deal for us, but 7 races this afternoon at Menangle, Freddie.
7 races, 7 winners, and an even sort of card. The back end pretty strong, so you might be able to play the quaddie and get a result.
Yeah, absolutely. Junee tonight, Bathurst Wednesday, Tamworth and Penrith on Thursday. Huge day on Friday, and an unusual one because Menangle moves to Friday and takes the Friday spot. So Young, Newcastle and Menangle on Friday. Bathurst, as we said, is on Saturday. Bankstown is on Monday. Busy for you. Are you calling Bankstown?
Yeah, I'll be Bankstown.
So you've
today,
got today at Menangle.
Yeah, then
Penrith Thursday.
Thursday, Menangle Friday.
Bathurst Saturday.
Saturday with about a 2 o'clock get home. And then Sunday on the pace at 10:30, so a bit of prep for that, and then Bankstown, and then back here for the podcast. And
he's going to be a shell of a man when we see him next Tuesday.
I wonder if Blake has a drink.
Don't upset him.
I'll be having more than a drink come next Wednesday.
So Saturday night is
Gold Crown,
Bathurst Gold Crown. It's going to be fantastic. Freddie's going to be there calling. Amanda Rando and myself and Brendan Kronberg will be putting together the Sky Racing active coverage. We'll have BK out on track. Amanda will be running the form. We'll have drivers and that. So Sky Racing active. Tune in for that. It's we love doing those coverages, and we're going to be trackside, and it should be good. Hopefully the weather guides are good to us, Fred. And
there's talk of rain in Sydney. A little bit of rain. Hopefully it won't reach that far out. But it's such a big night there at Bathurst. The crowd. And its atmosphere. It is country racing at its best that night. It's really one of the pinnacles of racing in this state for mine.
It's going to be fantastic. All right, Black Bookers.
Yes.
She's back.
Can I have an applause, please?
She's back.
I'm back. It has taken
What do you got for us?
It took a very long time to get back into the winner's circle, but Lacey's lad from Newcastle last Friday night for Mark Callaghan. It hit the line strongly after being held up on the fence and should be thereabouts in the next few runs.
All right.
I'm going to go, my Black Booker from last week's actually racing this Thursday, Clement Sorrell, but I'm going to suggest you keep a watch out for Unfazed. I thought it was a good run on Saturday in the race won by Double Act, and I spoke very briefly to trainer Charlie Policina, and he said he's a horse that can do a few things wrong, which we saw the week before, but he's just sort of switching on a bit better now, and we might see an improved run from Unfazed next time it steps out.
Wasn't she chirpy?
Oh, the text messages were flying. My phone was going off. I was trying to watch Married at First Sight.
My Black Booker one. I
couldn't concentrate on
all the emojis coming in.
I was just relieved to have broken the drought. I don't think I'd tipped one all year.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Hopefully some of our listeners got on and followed you in, Jess. And hopefully it's the start.
Winner.
Exactly.
Hopefully it's the start of a good run for you too. All right. Fantasy harness racing. We're up to round 11.
I know.
Round
Time
11.
flies.
So we're nearly halfway through the comp.
I'm into the top 100.
Well done.
Well done, mate. That's
I'm
good.
97th, I think.
I think I'm pushing the low 600s.
I think this is a real game changer of a week, I think, because you got triple points on the 2 Group 1s at Bathurst. You got double points on the other 2 Group 2s. So we've seen those bonus points really shake up things and strategically. Yes. But what we talked about in the Fantasy Harness Racing podcast yesterday, because we've got Menangle on a Friday night, we'll wait to see the fields, but the impact on Newcastle, we see Robbie and Josh and Jack Callaghan and those guys go and do so well in Newcastle. Well, they're going to be here. So that's going to bring your Blake Hugheses, your Grace Pinellas, those guys into play. Young's on at the same time. So we're going to see your Jackson Paintings, Blake Jones, Blake Micallef, those guys. And then Western, because Bathurst racing Wednesday night as well, and the travel, we think we're going to see we think Robbie's nominated there, but we're going to see more of the Western drivers be prominent. So we think the share of points is going to open up to a whole heap of different people. So I think it's a really exciting week for fantasy harness racing. So
it's a hard week.
It is.
For the reasons you've outlined.
Yeah, and that's good. You know, that should ideally really see that leaderboard start to pack up and make it super competitive. Jess, Team Teal is doing wonderful things. Like it's just finished up for the year. I know that I just checked in with the tally, which includes all the clubs, just under around $54,000.
That's
Wow.
Harness
incredible,
racing in
isn't
New
it?
South
That
Wales.
is amazing,
that's
just from our
fantastic.
state alone.
Yeah.
Well done to all the female trainers and drivers here. I think New South Wales really leads the way
Yep.
in that aspect with donating for the trainer wins as well, and that's reflecting in the amount that was
total,
raised.
Yeah, and so
awesome.
Menangle's been a big contributor to that as well.
Yeah, we
So it's,
have. We raised 7,000 alone from the training and driving wins of females at
Yep.
our track here. So
Yeah, no,
very
fantastic,
exciting.
fantastic. So, as I said, have a look out for the Sky Racing Active coverage on Saturday night. Looking forward to seeing you at Bathurst, Freddie. I'm sure the locals are. As we said last week, Danny's got the ticker tape parade and the open top bus tour for you.
And the
Oh,
red
true.
carpet
Yeah,
rolled
red
out,
carpet.
ready
Oh, really?
to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yep.
didn't know that.
Welcome
I
to
knew
Bathurst,
that.
Fred
Oh,
Hastings.
jeez.
Yep.
You're going to be a
There is
celebrity.
billboards.
Bring the shaft and
Autographs?
sign some
Yeah,
autographs.
autographs?
Yeah.
Billboards.
okay.
Yep, it'll be like Peter Brock's back.
I'll say
That's
who will
that's
I?
how
I'll
much
say
he's
who will I
reviewed in
make
Bathurst.
the? Do you want an autograph? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you make it out to? Yeah, no.
Yeah, no,
Lost
should be fantastic. Plenty of good racing. Really cool week ahead. Can't wait to reflect on it again next Tuesday, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can't wait.
See you then to all our listeners. Thanks for giving us your time. No matter where you're listening, if you do like the show, feel free to give us a positive review, like, share, tell everyone about it. Let's spread the word about harness racing and to people on the live stream. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch you again next week on the Sprint Lane. Bye bye.